Flavor. Today we're going to make a little bit of a twist on a classic Spanish dish. We're going to be making churro waffles. Now why waffles? Because churros you need to fry and that just takes too much time sometimes and you just want to do something quick. You can make something with a similar texture in a waffle iron. So churros are made with a very unique type of dough called choux pastry, C-H-O-U-X, and choux pastry for pâte choux. Pâte choux is another type of dough that is made by boiling it, which is unique because most doughs you don't boil. So we're gonna go ahead and get started so you can see this. We're gonna add a half cup. Oh, this is gonna make one waffle. If you wanted to make more, you can double it and stuff like that. So we're gonna add a half cup of water to a pan, get this on pretty much high heat. To that, we're gonna add a tablespoon of sugar. Make sure we get all that sugar out. Two tablespoons of butter, and a quarter teaspoon of salt. We're waiting for this to all melt down and come to a boil. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add the flour into here. And why that is because it's going to create steam within the dough, and that's going to get trapped. So as it bakes, it's going to kind of like help it rise a little bit. So it's a leavener, and it's also going to help it crisp up. So you have that. If you've ever had an eclair or a churro, it's kind of got that like hollow center. That's because there's steam already in it that's escaping, and that's kind of rising and escaping. And then there's like aeration inside of the waffle, the eclair, the whatever. So just have this on high heat. When we do go add the flour, we're going to turn it down, but we're just looking for everything to boil, sugar to be dissolved, butter to be melted. So we'll just let that work. In the meantime, depending on how long your waffle iron takes, you can go ahead and get that going. And we need to make our cinnamon sugar. So cinnamon sugar, yeah, you can buy cinnamon sugar. Go ahead. But you can also make it. It's just, for me, I like 2 tablespoons of cinnamon, 2 tablespoons of sugar to 3/4 teaspoon cinnamon. I just think that's a pretty decent mixture of it. Now, the other benefit of this recipe is, like I said, churros are typically fried. This is not going to be, still going to kind of have that texture, but you don't need to like worry about all those extra calories from the deep frying it. So just mix that together. We have our cinnamon sugar. We can go ahead and put that to the side and wait for this butter to melt. Now to explain what's happening before I do it, we're going to add the flour in and I'm going to stir it until it starts to leave the pan. It's important to do it fast and keep an eye on it because it can burn very easily. Flour burns very easily. So you might see me take it off the heat and move it over. That's just to make sure that that flour is not burning. Once it's there, we don't need to cook it too much longer. We pretty much have our pastry, okay? So that butter is still not there yet. I can see the water is about to boil, so we should be ready in no time. If you didn't know, churros, we think they're a Spanish dish that actually came from Portugal, and Portugal got them from China, surprisingly. Marco Polo went to China and had a dish called youtiao, which doesn't have the sugar on the outside, and that's basically the same thing that churros are today. So we're here. Let's dump the flour in. And I'm just going to stir this until I see it becoming a dough. And then I'm going to take it off the heat because I can see it starting to form that paste already. So all we're looking for is for that dough to come together, and then we'll put it back on. At this point, I have the heat off because I know that this pan is already hot enough. And I'm just mixing it together until it forms this kind of dough ball. Now this is choux pastry. Typically with the churro, you would add eggs into this. The eggs are going to help when it fries to create even more rising process, but I found that when I used eggs in this recipe in a waffle iron, it doesn't always come out. So if you have another recipe that involves choux pastry, you would want to take it off the heat, whip up the egg, and stir it in just a little bit at a time so that it can kind of temper and come up and not turn into scrambled eggs. But at this point, we're pretty much ready to go. This is a great like budget recipe. It's not a lot of ingredients. If you're in college and you just want something quick to make, you're just hungry, need something sweet, it doesn't take too long. So I'm going to go ahead and bring my waffle iron over and all you got to do is put it in. Now, it's not a batter where it's going to spread out as well. Oops, look, this one isn't even going to make a full waffle, but you can always double up the recipe, do whatever you need to do. Just press it in, fold it. If you want to flip it, and we'll just let this cook for a couple minutes until it's nice and crispy. If you were to make more, you don't want to overload the pan. The more steam that's in there is going to create like not as crispy of a crust on it. So don't overwork it. A little bit in there, multiple smaller waffles is going to end up with a better result. Now back to the whole history. The word churro actually comes from a sheep. If you look up a churro sheep, it's got like little spiral horns on it that kind of look like what a churro is now. So if you're wondering where the name came from, that's the alleged reason or place that it came from. So we'll just let this cook. You can see that compared to a waffle, there's a lot more steam coming out. Like I said, that's because of how we made the dough. It's made with choux pastry, which has that steam kind of trapped in, and this is it escaping now to make it nice and crispy. Some people, when they take these out, they'll dip them in butter before they mix them in the cinnamon sugar. If you do it fast enough, while it's hot enough, you shouldn't have any issues. It should just stick to it. But if you like butter, you know, you can always add that as well. What we're looking for here is for it to be crispy. If you want to touch the top, I need it to go a little bit longer. One thing to note with this recipe, like I said, there's no egg in it. Also, there's barely any sugar in it. So if you're looking for the color of a traditional waffle, it's not going to get there. The egg and the sugar is what does that. Here, we're going to add a bunch of color when we add the cinnamon sugar onto it. So although it will look pale at first glance, once tossed together, shouldn't be an issue at all. It's going to taste delicious. So we're just checking it again to see that it's nice and crispy. And when it is, we'll take it out, mix it with the cinnamon sugar, and we're good to eat it. Like I said, easy recipe to double. You can make as many as you want, but do not overcrowd the pan. Okay, I think we're good actually. So, how do I know if I'm good? Like I said, there's not going to be a lot of color. What I'm looking for is for it to be kind of crispy. It's still going to be kind of, you know, doughy on the inside, but that's kind of what a churro is. It has that like little bit of a chewiness to the texture. So, grab some tongs, a fork, whatever you want. Take this out. It will crisp up more just by sitting in the air, and there it goes and cuts. Okay, let's try just one piece at a time. Okay, so take that waffle out, and we'll just dip it in the cinnamon sugar. So now we have the waffles. Like I said, if you do it while it's hot enough, you don't even need to worry about dipping it in butter because it's just going to stick on, okay? So be patient. Maybe don't use tongs like I'm using because it seems to be breaking. But dip it in the cinnamon sugar, and then we'll just lay it on a plate here. And we're going to have a nice, yummy, delicious churro waffle. Not a waffle, so you don't need syrup or anything like that. This has the texture and taste of a churro, but just in a quicker, simpler way to cook it. Now this would be great with the dipping sauce, and it'll probably make it look a little bit prettier than this. A little chocolate melted down, sprinkled over the top. In Mexico, they use like dulce de leche or some sort of caramel on top as well, if you'd like. But nonetheless, it's going to taste great. Like I said, maybe don't use tongs. A fork or something is going to end up working better to get them out. Don't rush. Let them cook. They'll get nice and crispy. As they sit, you can see if I break it apart, it's kind of got that doughiness. That might look a little raw and like most people's eye, but that's what we're kind of looking for in a churro. So it should have crisp on the outside, a little bit of doughiness on the inside, and we're ready to go. So you can make these into smaller bites too, and just have a bunch of little tiny bites at a nice party. But it's a quicker way to make a churro. You don't have to worry about getting out the deep fryer and frying it and having a piping bag that has the right shape on to get the right little shapes on the outside with the star tip. So let's take a taste. You heard the crispiness. You taste the cinnamon, the sugar. It's got that butteriness to it. It's delicious. You should make sure you try this as well. Maybe with the sauce next time though too. Okay? Thank you for joining us. Hope you enjoyed this episode, and make sure you check in next time for more recipes with Passport to Flavor.